is Lady Myya. Hello, you guys. We are back with another podcast. So, I'm here with Mama Marcie. Okay, I call her Mama Marcie. You might be able to call her Mama Marcie, but you might want to call her first and get that okay. So, I want to talk to her because we have talked back and forth about this thing, and you guys, it's gonna get deep. So, I don't want to scare anybody off, nor does she or anything like that, but there might be a whole bunch of things that might be happening that we don't all understand. So I'm going to ask her to give us an explanation of, what she's encountered in doing so, and also we're gonna go into, what it feels like as well. So without further ado, my Mayan tribe, say hello to Miss Marcie.
Hey, hey, all right, back.
Oh my goodness. I couldn't wait. I was just like, oh my gosh, I get Marcie. Yes. Okay, so tell us who you are and what you do, and we're going to get into that story.
First of all, Maya, let me thank you and your wonderful audience for having me back again to speak with you. I absolutely love this. You know, I follow you. So when you're doing these interviews, I just get so excited to hear you, to just see you just growing like nobody's business. So I want to first thank you and your audience for tuning in. I said it on the first show, I'll say it this show and any other show. If you don't or haven't ever listened to Lady Myya, she is the bomb. If you ever get to be in her presence, where she vibrates, everybody wants some of. And you know what? Those are the people that we all should be trying to surround ourselves with. I mean, just look at you now. I'm looking at this beautiful glow on you. Hello, who don't want to be in the light? We all want to be in the light, okay? But what type of light is that, Myya? You know,
Lights,
the
camera, action.
on that. So thank you very much. Um, I guess I could go on and on about my awakening, and I will tell you, if people take an interest in themselves, I strongly recommend to your audience, start journaling. There are so many things that happen, and you think, oh, for sure, I'm going to remember that. Well, you might not remember the details specifically, but nevertheless, you'll get the overall. Let's just put it like that. Um, I I have to tell you, I've always known, and we talked about this too, Myya. You know, people know somewhere within their deep knowing that there's something that they want to do. It's always more than what they are doing. We always want more. So, but the thing is, we have a little voice that's really the strong voice, but it's a small voice that we tune out because we've got this mind of ours, what I consider to be tainted, screen everything that we do every day. It actually knows the routine. It knows how to handle situations because it's found itself in those places. So it speaks loud. And if you start thinking logically, we're talking mind logically, okay, that logic doesn't always synchronize with what's in the heart. You know me, the heart will not lead you astray ever. ever, ever. It's love. It's the key ingredient that God gifted us with during the creation. Anyway, I will tell you that during my time frame of growing up, I always felt like I was going to do something so spectacular. And then, when you come from a background where you have supportive people, family members, your mother, you know what? I am so grateful this lifetime that my family was beyond very supportive. I grew up and I taught my kids the same thing. And anybody that I come into acquaintance with, that we can do all things. I truly believe from the whole of my heart, we can do all things. And I know we can. It also says, see that? You know that being spiritual, that was so right on time. It wasn't something that you had set to go off. It just chimed right in, which is a confirmation we can do all things, Miss
Yeah.
Myya. So, it's the drive that's within us and the hunger to want to achieve those things. And a lot of times, the voice that's trying to steer us, guess what we do? We silence it and listen to external sources, friends, family, mom, dad, lover, boyfriend, significant other, whatever the situation is. And we think that they're telling us these things because they love us. Well, they love us because we're doing what they want us to do. They also do love us in their own way, but it's not a godly love, that unconditional love. Because when we unconditionally love, we accept them for exactly who they are. We're not upset that they changed their mind and they don't want to be in this relationship anymore. We understand that just like you want to change or you want something your way, you're entitled to the same exact thing. Why am I going to hold you hostage and use the drama, the manipulating tools of crying, I'm going to kill myself, um, or whatever the case may be? I'm so sorry. My dogs are barking in the background. I need some protection around here. Probably, I want to say right at about 16 years. And then hardcore, where I just decided I need to figure what is going on with me and why things started changing without me having any control. And when things start changing, then people start changing themselves, thinking, I need to change so I can keep up with this lifestyle, keep up with these things. Where in fact, it's meant to stop you in your footsteps to say, you used to do it this way. Do you want to grow? Do you want to stay in the same spot? What exactly is it that you want to do? And we don't know that this is what our higher self, that little voice, the one we're talking about, that gets awakened in you at the very exact time that it's needed for us to start awakening. We have life paths that have been predetermined for us by God, before the creation. So these things aren't going to change because we don't want to do those things. Surely not. It's predestined. And when we do try to do those things, we're using our free will, not God's will. And guess what? There's consequences to those things. There's consequences to everything that we do. Whether they be good results or not so good results. I don't like to use bad because, people then go with the stereotype that we talk about in today's society, good and evil. Lucifer, God, So understanding that we need to pay attention. We need to understand how to hear that small voice that's within us, how to trust our intuition, because so many people are so gifted. We all bear gifts. We're all gifted with the very exact same things. God gifted us all. He didn't cheat not one person. It's some of our gifts are more prominent in others than they are in the other person, and vice versa. But the fact of the matter is, you have these gifts, and prayerfully, you'll use them the correct way. You know, these are things that people don't think about. They hallelujah, going to church and God this and God that, and they are the very first ones, the very first ones
Go outside.
that are leading Father God's flock to stray. It's like, and I'm not God, obviously, but I am of Him. And I do know that leading his children astray is definitely something that there's a price to be paid for. I can only imagine, and I'm always asking. I pray a lot, Maya, asking God for His mercies for the things that I've encountered since I've been here. When we get to the point where we can't even be kind to each other, we can't even call up like you and I. Now I love our relationship because we like to send each other little gifts and things like that. So the awakening. If people, it's not just certain people get awakened. It's if you have a desire within your heart to want to do something, but you don't know what that thing specifically is. Who better can tell you what it is? He created the path that you're supposed to be on. Ask. Then the thing comes in, which is part of my organization, life coaching. Also, it's interesting that you asked that because this is also part of information that's in my book that'll be published and coming out very soon. And it's a telltale of little adventures and storytelling and things like that in your life, And I mean, it's some juicy stories in there. And it's a story about myself and the awakening and just, life in this particular lifetime. So it's quite interesting. I just hope that people awaken to the fact that they have so much potential, Maya, that they are their worst enemy. They are the ones that keep themselves stuck. They are the ones from listening to in this information getting what I call manifested into the brain cell. It's wiring gone wrong. Okay.
Wow.
Wiring gone wrong for sure, because we believe those that we trust, because these are the way that we were taught, we were raised, generation after generation.
I have questions for you for that one, definitely.
Shoot away.
No,
so,
you know what?
This one thing, Maya, so we don't have to go back to this area. Everyone can awaken themselves by searching for their higher self to understand what is their soul purpose here in this lifetime, and say they need help to achieve that. You ask Father God, He says, ask and thou shalt receive.
Yes.
Baby, you better know He do what He say He gonna do. I can tell you that. So, open yourselves up to expanding who you are, who you really are, so that you can live your best life, your most authentic life. And I talk about these things in my company. And I've also created the program I told you that's called Mask Off. And these are masks that everyone on the planet Earth wears. That is correct. So the objective is to help people to identify these are masks they don't need to wear. Why are you wearing it? It's a facade. Why are you doing that? Why waste all this beautiful positive energy with drama when you can be living your best life? That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So anyway.
You know, went though. Okay.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, because you said something that really stood out to me, and I was just like, you know what, I need to talk about that. Now, every time I go to talk about that, everybody usually ends up changing the subject, and I'm like, oh, but really, this is what we do. Okay, I know we can't talk to you about this because you might be that person that I'm talking about. So, offense, it don't take much. So,
Okay.
with this being said, the perspective of our elders that came before us and how they felt that believing and having a relationship with God was and only was to be, I think it's so outdated, because I'm like, God Himself did not come down and say we had to be in church every Sunday. God Himself didn't come down here and said we had to tithe every Sunday. He didn't say that we had to be hearers and doers of the word and in the way that y'all felt that was going to be right. So, on certain thoughts to see what healthy perspective with you being a very well-grounded spiritualist, what do you take from that? Like, do you feel like, the old ways was the right ways, or, everybody kind of has their own way?
You know what? That's a beautifully asked question, Miss Maya.
I'm sorry.
No, it's a way. You know what? I have one of my clients that uses the terminology "nasty nice." She says to me all the time, "Miss Marcie, does that mean that I have to be nasty nice? Is that what you're saying?" And of course, I would never say be nasty nice. It's like, no, those are your words.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the thing that you said is, I'm old school.
Yes, but you ain't that old school.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
Well,
saying?
you know what? I'm very happy and proud to say, I'm 61. I'll be 62 in a few months. And
Ambitious.
I absolutely love that I can say that, and I can feel every bit of the age that I've given,
Mm-hmm.
that I've learned and I'm experienced with life. And if you want to know something, you do go to, well, not today's society, in my time frame, and probably right at the end of your beginning time frame. Um, the generations were taught to rely on the ancestors' knowledge and experiences. You know, children don't even go and sit down with the older generation and spend quality time to hear some of those wonderful stories that they have to tell. They're hilarious. You think, are they serious? They're serious stories. And, it brings so much laughter and humor to the environment in which you're in. Now, I will tell you that you learn a lot by listening to the ancestors. They have a wealth of information.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there is, so in that perspective, I love old school. I love the old way. I love being now the elder to be able to pass down information to younger generations. But there is a caveat there, Maya, because times have changed.
Yes.
So while I may have these old ways and thoughts and actions of my old school ways, I know that I also have to be up to date with what's going on in the reality in which I find myself. So that means I can't always, as an example, I mean, it's a silly example, but it's cute. Maya,
Yes, ma'am.
you didn't do what I told you to do.
Yes, ma'am.
So guess what?
Mm.
Go outside and get that switch off the tree, and
I
you
know,
go
right?
And you better not bring in the smallest one out there. Okay. So, it's that mentality. Not only did they mess with your mind to say, and don't bring the smallest one, and you thinking the bigger that means it's gonna kill me, it's gonna hurt me more, or whatever the case may be, right? So, that analogy. Whereas now, because of society, we don't beat children. We don't sit outside to get the switch.
Right.
I mean, this was truly how things were done.
True.
Now, well, we went from the phase of that to using belts and extension cords and things like that to, then we got DCFS. Then we went from that to you can't hit these children. And look at the society now. The Bible tells us,
spoil the ride.
You don't spare that rod.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It tells us that. But our society tells us the opposite. Don't you put your hands on them, give them time out, sit them in a corner.
That's basically like taking your child and putting them in the jail cell and telling them not to touch and do what they supposed to be. They've been doing.
That is so true. That is so true.
Mm.
It's interesting that you asked that. So you see where I'm saying there's so much that is beneficial to listening and getting guidance from the ancestors, especially the males. The males have so much to offer as far as these young kids, their mentality and the way that they move forward with actions and things that they want to do. So it's I don't know what else to say there other than I am going the way because they're very they have so much mannerism and respect and loyalty and honesty that's deeply embedded. I know it's deeply embedded for me. And I value these above all things. I really do. Right. And, if we don't value these things, how is it that we can give anything of ourselves worthy of anything to anyone else? So back to, that goes from that beautiful question you asked back into the area, like I told you, that small voice. Mm-hmm. Small voice that tries to lead us, but we haven't learned to listen to it yet. The best way, and I like to give this to you and to your audience, the best way for us to begin to hear that voice, just practice it. Meditation. It truly is meditation. None of us really take the time. I do now. I'm pretty religious about it. When the old terminology, religious, I do it all the time. You have to practice silence. The mind is chattering continuously. It gets millions and millions of inputs and outputs throughout one's day, from the time you open your eyes to the time you close them. Mm-hmm. Millions, seriously, millions of input and outputs. And things that are memorable, it goes to the memory, okay? Mm-hmm. You recall at a later time, or use some kind of way to keep you where you're supposed to be, if you will. Mm-hmm. So understanding that you have to take the time out and be still. I like that word. It's like be still. Myya, go be still. Be still means silence in the mind. And the way that you do that, you can't just go sit in a chair. Some people can, I'm sure, but that's not my recommendation. When you sit, the mind is still going.
It is.
In order to stop the mind and the chatter so that you can hear your higher self speaking, you can concentrate on your breathing, breathing air in. Remember, we talked about the chakras that are in direct alignment from the lower portion of our torso to the crowns of our head. These the 7 chakra areas should always be in alignment. And this helps you to keep them in alignment by doing these breathing techniques. When you're thinking about breathing air in and filling yourself up with more love or more purity, more abundance, whatever your thoughts are, that's going to get you in a higher vibration. You're pulling that in by breathing in the air, holding it. And while you're holding it, having those beautiful thoughts to fill me up, replenish me, to make me feel full of abundance, to be balanced, whatever the thoughts are that you want to align yourself to. And when you're saying that and you're holding your breath, you thinking all these beautiful thoughts, and it's filling up in those sacral, the chakra areas. Why am I on sacral, honey? The sacral is the sexual area, obviously, and I keep saying sacral for some reason. What reason, I ain't figured it out yet. But chakra is the word that I'm continuously fumbling over. Anyway, those chakra areas, from the deep breathing that one does, it helps to align. And if you're concentrating on you breathing in and you're asking for the things you want in alignment, guess where the brain is focused? It's focused on your breathing. Sure. So guess what? All that mind clutter and chattering that's going on, it ceases because you are totally focused on breathing that air in, aligning the chakra within your body, aligning it to your highest desires as you're speaking and holding your breath to fill up. When you're holding your breath, you're thinking that I'm expanding internally, because these things have to begin internally so that it is exerted outwardly, right? Yeah. So that's why, we talked about that too, Myya. You brought up a very good point, and it's part of my teachings again. You can't love someone else until you learn to love yourself first. And a lot of people that scream, oh, I know exactly what that means. Oh, I love myself. We talked about that last time. Do they really? Do you really understand what loving yourself means? That means saying no to being manipulated by others. It means saying no to doing things because you feel guilty, you feel ashamed, you feel whatever those lower vibrations are. But
choosing yourself over others.
That is correct. So, when you lose those things, you gain yourself back. It's like pulling your power back. Remember, we talked about we're so dispersed throughout our lives. And if you imagine being 60, going on 62, and never realizing that I had given all my power away. I thank God, that part of my destiny was to be on the more mature side, to experience the awakening, which means I have way more experiences than someone younger that is awakened at this particular time. So, me, it's like, take the time and meditate. That's what I would ask. Think about who you really are, who you really want to be. Don't keep it closed up. Don't keep it closed up. Maya Angelou, who I love so much, she had a quote that says, there's nothing worse than agonizing over a story that's not told. You got to tell these stories. You got to tell these stories. And the reason why we tell these stories is to hopefully to awaken another soul to who they really are, that they don't have to believe and stay in the illusion that things are just the way they are. Have that mentality that they're poor. None of us are poor. We're all rich. We all are rich. We all have all these beautiful gifts. And, if we are so deeply embedded because of our surroundings and the environment we find ourselves in, well, that's probably why we're stuck there, because your co-creation with yourself and God, the higher power, you wouldn't see yourself in poverty. Who wants to see themselves in poverty?
No one.
Right. So if you see yourself in poverty and that's all you can see, that's what you're going to see. If you while this is your reality that you're in the poverty, it's just a matter of the wind blowing in and things can change. Because I told you we can do all things, right?
ALL. I know that's right. Tell it, girl. You better say something.
No.
I think this is such a great talk because, a lot of times we don't think about ourselves. We don't, really give ourselves credit, one. And two, like really sitting down to think. And I was just talking to someone, one of my kids, and telling her, like, sometimes you just gotta meditate. You gotta get your thoughts organized so that you can be more organized going forth in being successful. You can't do that with a mess. You
Mhm.
can't really, align anything when you're just not that organized and things don't look like it's cluttered. Like, how would you know where to go when you're stepping over clutter? You're just trying to avoid the fall. That's all you're trying to do. You're not really doing it. And so she understood that. She really did. She said, you know what? Sometimes I'm going to have to just take my music, go into another room, and just, do what I need to do. And I think it's really, really important because I think I run to my office as often as possible just to kind of like get myself, to the point where like, okay, you know what? I have to be due diligent. I will sit there. I'll write out a list and okay, well, this needs to be done. This needs to be done, but I can't do that until I do this. So let me just, and then you have that sense of accomplishment because of the fact that you are still not working on just doing step one.
Mm.
You're like, oh, well, I actually finished that. Let me cross that out. You know how good a cross out is, y'all? How good is a cross out? That's the best feeling ever. Like, oh my God, I finished that. And then when you go to look back and you see how many things you actually crossed out, you feel good, man. You can beat your chest like Tarzan or King Kong or whoever you want to be at the point in time. But the accomplishment will set you in the right path because, you understand that this is what you need to do. And these are the steps that needs to be done to get those done and to have that alignment to go and be successful. And I think that is, girl, super positive, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I need to know, what is the name of the book, beloved?
Well, I didn't want to put it out there yet, and you put me on the scene. It's called Baby's Bed. Mm.
Baby's Bed. And that's about the awakening.
Mm.
Oh my.
From a baby's bed.
Mm-hmm. To heal.
Because many things transpire throughout our lives, which is part of. I love this interview because this is the first time that I really got to talk a lot about my program that I created, which is Mask Off. I think this is like the third or fourth time that I mentioned it. Well, I take that back because I did have a whole series on Mask Off. But this is where you go in and it begins, the different stages of the Mask Off program. It begins at different points in each of our lives. So, and during each of these phases of our lives, like through 0 through 7 are our most critical years because we're like sponges. And this is what I equate that information to in my program. At that age, and everyone should know this, that is mature enough and comprehend our growth as human beings. We're like sponges. Children, they absorb everything. They watch everything. They repeat everything. And they're so free So free. That is the freest time we endure in our lives, is during that time frame, because we could care less. All we want to do is be happy and loved and play and eat all the candy and ice cream we can, those type of things. But those years are so critical because they must also be nurtured. They have to be nurtured so that they can grow to the next phase with some sense of normalcy without having donned any of the masks to protect themselves. So, without coming to one of my sessions or something like that, I don't want to give away all of the juicy secrets, but we should take a look at how things have transpired during different phases of our lives and how that has affected us, and the baggage that resulted as of the effect, and how it was carried forward in other relationships that we may have built, or those that we may have pushed off. We push away a lot of things that are meant to be in our lives because we think or we feel fear. This is all about faith. We got to have faith. The faith is in God. You think that He's going to give you something less than what you have? Our Father ain't a Father of less. He's a Father that gives. So, open your hands to receive and let it flow.
Y'all, we love it. We love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell my Mayan tribe how to get a hold of you, beloved.
Well, Myya, I can actually be contacted. Website, have a beautiful website up. And that would be ABBA dash solutions with an S .net. You can go there, and definitely if you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, any of those things, you can also find me by name, Marcie Weurtenberger. I so look forward to coming back again, Myya, and actually having you possibly come and guest speak, because you got stories to tell too, girl, and I love your stories. And just because you're hosting doesn't mean that. I think that's your beautiful gift back to us, is to showcase us and to support us. And to me, it's like you should be showcased and supported too. So a big shout out to you, Myya, and your audience. I really appreciate you invite me back again. I love the dynamics. I love watching you grow. I love it. I do.
I appreciate you, beloved. Like you give nothing but light and love and just all those things in between. And I think it's just so awesome to just get that recharge from you, girlfriend.
I'm sending you all kind of love, light, and healing to you and your audience. These energies are always good if they're open to receive. I send the highest vibrations of love first and foremost, because it heals and it provides us life and truth. So I send that out in Jesus Christ's name.
Amen. Okay. Amen and amen again. Yes. All right, y'all. Well, we appreciate you guys just being here with us. This has just been such a phenomenal transaction with her, and just being able to get you guys to understand that, it's not just one way. Just know that there's not just one way. And things can look different from every different perspective. Just give yourself time and just the space to actually look deeper, so you can see that there are options. And I think that is super important for all of us to know, whether we already think we got it together, or we think we can possibly or not possibly get it together. So I appreciate everyone. Thank you so much, Mama Marcie. Love you, girl. Love you so much. And so, you guys, you know the deal.
Admin at ladymyya.com or ladymyya.com. That's MYYA. And you know why? Because your homegirl is special. I want to hear your story. Go ahead. You can also text me at 214-529-0980. I look forward to talking to you.